I need you to put the gun down. Outlaw 1, you ain't taking me in, Marshal. I will die right here before I go back to Fort Smith. That is your choice, but I am telling you right now, you do not want to make it. Outlaw 1, there are 3 of us and 1 of you. I know, I have been counting. I also know that the man behind the tree to my left has not cocked his rifle yet, and the one in the creek bed has mud in his barrel from where he fell getting into position. So it is really just you, and I have not missed a shot in 32 years.
Welcome back to After Hours. I am Vaughn. Yesterday I told you the story of Robert Smalls, a man who stole a warship. Today I want to tell you about the most dangerous lawman who ever lived. Over 3,000 arrests, not once was he shot, not once did he shoot first. He was a master of disguise. He could transform himself into a farmer, a preacher, a drifter, an old woman. He brought men in alive when every other marshal brought them in dead. And he was a formerly enslaved black man working in territories where the law barely existed and his life meant nothing to the people who wrote the rules. His name was Bass Reeves, and you have never heard of him, but you have heard of the character they based on him. The Lone Ranger. They took his story, gave it to a fictional white man in a mask, and never said a word. This is episode 2, The Marshal. Bass Reeves was born into slavery in 1838 in Crawford County, Arkansas. His enslaver was a man named William Reeves, a state legislator. Bass worked as a field hand, then as a personal servant to William's son, Colonel George Reeves. When the Civil War broke out in 1861, George Reeves took Bass with him to fight for the Confederacy. Bass was not given a choice. But somewhere on those battlefields, something changed.
George, I need to talk to you about something.
What is it?
I have been thinking about what happens after this war.
After? We win, Bass. We go home. Everything goes back to the way it was.
That is what I was afraid you would say.
What does that mean?
It means I am not going back.
Excuse me?
I said I am not going back. Not to the fields, not to the house, not to any of it.
You watch your mouth, boy. You are my property, and you will do as I say.
Not anymore.
The details of what happened next vary by the account. Some historians say Bass knocked George Reeves unconscious. Others say they got into a dispute over a card game and Bass had to flee. What every account agrees on is this: Bass Reeves escaped. He ran west, into Indian Territory, into land that no white law could reach. And for the next several years he lived among the Cherokee, the Creek, and the Seminole nations. He learned their languages, he learned to track. He learned to survive in a wilderness that would kill most men in a week. He became something that no one expected a runaway enslaved man to become. He became the most capable man in the territory. In 1875, a new federal judge arrived at Fort Smith, Arkansas. His name was Isaac Parker. History would call him the hanging judge. He was tasked with bringing law to Indian Territory, 75,000 square miles of the most lawless land in America. Outlaws, bootleggers, horse thieves, and murderers had turned it into a place where you could kill a man and never answer for it. Judge Parker needed deputy marshals. He needed men who could ride into that territory, find the worst men alive, and bring them back to face justice. Someone told him about Bass Reeves.
You speak Cherokee?
Yes, sir. Creek and Seminole, too.
You know the territory?
I lived in it for years, Your Honor. Every river, every crossing, every hollow where a man might hide.
Can you read?
No, sir. I cannot.
Then how will you serve warrants?
I will have someone read them to me before I ride out. I will memorize every name, every charge, every face description. When I find my man, I will know exactly who he is and what he did.
And if they resist?
They always resist, Your Honor. I will bring them in anyway.
Judge Parker pinned a badge on Bass Reeves. He was one of the first black deputy U.S. Marshals west of the Mississippi. He was 37 years old. He could not read or write. And he was about to become the most effective lawman in American history. Over the next 32 years, Bass Reeves made more than 3,000 arrests. He was shot at more times than anyone could count. He never took a bullet. He had his hat brim shot off. He had his belt shot in two. He had his reins shot out of his hands. But no bullet ever found his body. And he never shot first. Every single time, he gave the man a chance to surrender. What made Bass Reeves extraordinary was not just his courage, it was his mind. He was a master of deception. He would ride into towns disguised as a farmer, a beggar, a traveling preacher. He once dressed as an old woman, walked up to a cabin where two wanted men were hiding, and knocked on the door asking for a glass of water.
Please, sir, I am just an old woman trying to get to town. My feet are aching and I am so thirsty. Outlaw 2. Get on out of here, Granny. We ain't running no hotel. Just a sip of water, sir. That is all I am asking. The Lord will bless you for your kindness. Outlaw 2. Fine. Come on in. But make it quick.
When the door opened, Bass Reeves pulled two pistols from under the shawl and had both men in handcuffs before they could reach for their guns. He did not fire a shot. He walked them both to Fort Smith. Another time, he tracked a man named Bob Dozier for months. Dozier was a killer who had sworn he would never be taken alive. Every marshal who went after him came back empty-handed or did not come back at all.
I know you are in there, Dozier. I have a warrant for your arrest.
Then come get me, Marshal. I will put a hole in you before you reach the porch.
I am not coming to the porch. I am going to sit right here. I have food, I have water, I have time. And I know for a fact that you do not have any of those three things.
You think you can wake me out?
I have been waiting since Tuesday. It is now Friday. I can wait until Christmas if I have to.
Dozier eventually came out. He chose to fight. Bass Reeves shot him. It was one of the only times he was forced to kill. Even then, he reportedly expressed regret. That was who Bass Reeves was. A man who believed that the law meant something, that bringing a man in alive was the job, that killing was a failure, not a success. In 1902, Bass Reeves received a warrant that stopped him cold. The name on the warrant was Benjamin Reeves, Benny, his own son. Benny had been charged with murdering his wife. Every other marshal in the district offered to serve the warrant. They knew what it would do to Bass. They told him to step aside. Let someone else bring the boy in.
No. Marshal 2. Bass, you do not have to do this. Any one of us will ride out and bring him in. No one would think less of you. I said no. That warrant has a name on it. I do not get to choose which names I serve and which ones I do not. That is not how the law works. Marshal 2, he is your son, Bass. I know who he is, and I know what he did, and the law does not care whose son he is. If I ride past this one, then every warrant I have ever served means nothing.
Bass Reeves rode out and arrested his own son. He brought him back to face trial. Benny was convicted and sentenced to prison. Bass Reeves did not speak publicly about it. He did not ask for sympathy. He went back to work. That is the measure of the man. Not the 3,000 arrests, not the gunfights, not the disguises. The moment he put the badge above his own blood, because he believed in something bigger than himself. Bass Reeves died on January 12, 1910. He was 71 years old. By then, he was a legend in Indian Territory. Every outlaw knew his name. Every marshal respected him. He had served longer and arrested more men than any lawman in the history of the American frontier. And then, in 1933, a radio show debuted called The Lone Ranger, a masked lawman, a man of justice who worked on the frontier, a man who never shot to kill. a man who had a deep connection to indigenous people and rode with a companion named Tonto. Historians have documented the parallels. A lawman who operated in Indian territory, who never killed unless forced, who was known for his disguises, who had deep relationships with Native American communities, who rode a silver horse. Bass Reeves rode a large gray horse. He carried 2 Colt revolvers, handles facing forward. He gave silver dollars as calling cards to the people he helped. The Lone Ranger carried silver bullets. They took his story. They made the hero white. They put a mask on him. And they never said his name. For over 100 years, Bass Reeves was a footnote, a paragraph in a local history book, while the fictional character built on his life became one of the most famous figures in American entertainment. In 2011, a statue of Bass Reeves was unveiled in Fort Smith, Arkansas. It was the first time the city officially honored the man who had done more for law and order in that region than any other human being. It took 101 years,